Happy Sunday, everybody. It's time for another weekly chat with y'all, and something that's kind of been on my mind. I was talking to my wife about this, but there's a whole lot of talk about self-improvement these days, and I think there's probably a decent bit of good and bad advice out there. As you know, a million people have an opinion on one thing. You're going to get some good stuff, you're going to get some bad stuff. But I think one point I would like to stress, and maybe you've been led to believe this, maybe you haven't, but there is no one-size-fits-all solution to making your life better. There are steps that you can take along the way. Let's think about an engine, for instance. We'll do a little bit of a car speak. You might find this is an interesting little find. You might find this interesting. It's an old four-cylinder out of a 1961 Chevrolet Nova. And maybe we want to get more power out of it, right? Well, maybe we could put a bigger carburetor on it. That might make it get more power. How about a performance exhaust? How about we put bigger valves in it? How about we put in bigger pistons? If you do just one of any of those things, you won't really see a whole lot of improvement. So little so that it won't really even be worth it. However, when you do all of those things together, all of a sudden you start to see a real change in the way this motor is going to run. It's the same way with your life. There is not just one thing you can just do that will make your life just excellent, but rather it's accumulation of things. Like, I would strongly encourage you, yeah, it's good to go to the gym and get fit and get healthy, and you will certainly like yourself better. You will feel better, and pretty good chance you'll even live longer. But that won't make you respect yourself. They'll just make you like yourself. So how can you learn to respect yourself? Well, it'd be a change of attitude, and not one so much of this modern TikTok idea of self-love that I want to push upon you, because I think that's just narcissism. But rather taking yourself seriously and saying, yes, I'm an adult, I'm competent, I can do the job I set out to do, I can take care of myself. And that kind of attitude, not one of, oh, woe is me, I need a mental health day, I need some self-love, I need a whole bunch of people on Instagram to give me likes so I feel better about myself. That's not self-respect. That's narcissism. But maybe you do that. Maybe you join a faction. Like I said, we've talked about this before. Become a member of a church or maybe a local club and learn how to socialize better. But this whole idea of self-improvement, it's not some one-size-fits-all thing. Just like crash dieting, you just don't do a crash diet one time and then you're just a perfectly healthy weight and life is just good. It's a complicated process. A wise man once said, we are in the act of becoming. So every day is an opportunity for you to become, hopefully, something better. Now, granted, most of us don't do that, myself included. Like, I've worked every day this week. I didn't really do much in the way of self-improvement, unless you include getting one good night's sleep this week, a form of self-improvement. So I'm kind of trying to preach to myself here as well. But I do think if there is one magic bullet, if you were to set this all off, it's going to be a change of attitude in making your life better. To get more horsepower out of your life, you need to change your attitude. You need to be adjusted, you need to be balanced, you need to be tuned. But you can't do any of those things if you have a bad attitude. Like if this engine here, the engine is knocking and making noises, that means it's time for a tear down and rebuild. And no amount of throwing horsepower parts at it is going to make it run any better. We have to start at its core. We got to get this machining in spec. We got to get your life in spec. And a big part of that is changing your attitude and the way you see the world. And that's not something that is done overnight. It is a step-by-step process. It started for me when I was 20 years old. I'm 31 now, and I'm still working on it. So we're talking over 10 years. I had some issues in my life that I don't really want to divulge to you all, but I had one night where, not metaphorically, literally, I literally looked in the mirror, said, "You have a problem, you need to fix it." And that's where I started. And it was changing my attitude of getting rid of, I had a bit of a victim mentality because some people had done me really dirty in life. And unsurprisingly, I was very upset about it. So much so that it was negatively impacting every other aspect of my life. And I had to get to a point where I said that this is my problem that I need to fix. Because what's done is done, the past sucks. And you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, don't worry about the past, you can't change it." Well, that's why I worry about it, because I can't. If I could change the past, I wouldn't worry about it. So you know, you are not alone in those feelings. But ultimately, even if it's somebody else's fault, the problems that you have in your life are on you. And really the first major step to getting your engine in spec is a change in attitude. You know, like I said, I have this problem, I need to deal with it. And that's really painful. I remember, you know, that 10 years ago, I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep at all. I got up the next morning feeling absolutely terrible. Sick even. And that's going to happen in this road to self-improvement. See, self-improvement is not this, you know, yellow brick road kind of thing where you're wearing a cute dress and red slippers and you prance all the way to the finish line. No, it's quite the opposite, actually. It's covered in rocks and snakes and vultures. That's what the road to self-improvement looks like. But if you manage to get to the other side of that road, you'll be a much stronger and better person for it. And if somebody tries to sell you on the idea that self-improvement is the yellow brick road, they're lying to you, and they're just trying to sell you a product and make money off of you. They don't actually care about your life getting better. Kind of back to the going to the gym analogy, which you should both take literally and metaphorically. Like when you work out, your muscles are going to experience some kind of discomfort, some kind of pain. But the end result is you being stronger and looking better and being healthier, right? So there is an exchange. You have to exchange a little bit of suffering to get that little bit of victory. And I think that's what it all really boils down to, is that to live is to suffer, but that doesn't mean you have to perpetually suffer. You can find victory through the suffering. And all these things are tied together, like going back to building an engine. It's a cumulative. You change your attitude. You start exercising. Maybe you start touching on the spiritual side of things. Find God in your life. In my case, I believe in Jehovah. You know, you have to do a number of things. And the three foundation of that is the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. Like those are the three things that make up the human body. Your mind, your spirit, and your body, right? And you can't improve just one of those things to make your life. You can't just go to the gym. You can't just go to church. You can't just read a self-help book. Just doing those things by themselves don't really do you a whole lot of good. You need that accumulative effect of attacking all three core tenets of the human being to really see some self-improvement in your life. But it is all a process. One thing I've noticed though is if I start doing one of those things and put effort into it, I start doing all three because they are very well connected. You know, if I spend a little bit more time in prayer, I might find myself exercising more. If I exercise more often, I might spend more time thinking about more positive things. If I spend more time thinking about more positive things, I might pray more. It's a cycle. It's a cord of three strands that are woven together and cannot be easily separated. Because no man is completely separate from his mind or his body or his spirit. All three of those things are permanently affixed to you for the remainder of your natural life. And if you can change your attitude on how you see those things, you really can start making improvements in your life. And, I mean, that can be a conversation that goes for hours and hours and hours, and these videos are usually 10 to 15 minutes long. But I think more so what I want to do for you all through these video series is kind of be a cheerleader for good decisions. I think that's what I want to make this little series about, is I want to cheer you on in the path of making better decisions for your life, and also remind you that making good decisions also has consequences. And that is just a part of life. Again, to live is to suffer. But here's the thing, making bad decisions has much bigger consequences. For example, you don't eat the cake, you miss out on something enjoyable. You do eat the cake, you spike your blood sugar and you make yourself feel sick. So you have that temporary enjoyment for long-term pain. What I want to encourage you to do is have that short-term temporary pain for long-term enjoyment. And there's a number of people you can listen to. There's good preachers, good I guess influencers, if you will. I think Jordan Peterson has a lot of interesting things to say about that. And I've listened to some of his stuff and I found it encouraging. And what he kind of harps on is not that yellow brick road and rainbows kind of mentality, but rather that to live is to suffer. But if you want to become stronger, you pick up the heaviest thing you can find and carry it. And that is true in both a metaphorical and literal sense. And if you're sitting here watching this today, it means you might be interested in that particular topic and that you have the self-awareness to actually analyze who you are and the intelligence necessary to make it happen. So if you've made it this far, hey, thanks for listening. And I just want to let you know that you are entirely capable of making a better life for yourself. And it will come with pain, it will come with frustration, it will come with sorrow and defeat. But through all of that, you can still find quite a bit of victory. Just know that you can do it, and that you are not alone, and that things can in fact get better. So, thanks for hanging out with me on this Sunday morning. Until we meet again, stay gold.